My name is Keegan Gallagher, and this is my first vlog of my computer science program that I'm taking. Uh, and I started C++, um, a C++ class online, um, and in the first module, which I've done in the past 2 weeks, I've gotten through about 7 parts of it. Yeah, 7 parts of this module. And so far, what I've basically learned is very basic stuff about C++, like where the language comes from and a lot of vocabulary. Like, and it gave me a lot of books that I could look into. One being the C++ programming language, which was made by the creator, and um, I learned how the setup for the lines of code are, where at the top of it, at the header, you put ion stream and you put the namespace and the std, and then you will start putting your code, and then at the bottom subheader you put return 0, which will make it just return back to its original state. The std stands for standard. Um, oh wow, I don't remember what that stands for. I'm sorry. Um, and I learned like other words about like integer, floating types, which I learned how to do C sharp, very basic level of C sharp. So I know quite a bit about an object-oriented language like C++ because they're very similar. So I kind of put a lot of this down just to have it, just in case I need to quickly look up a definition of something. Whenever you do a name, it can be composed of uppercase, lowercase, Latin letters, digits, and underscores, but it has to begin with a letter. Uh, but then there's a bunch of names that you can't use, like you can't use these because these are all actual keywords that they're used in like other parts of the coding language, so it'll confuse the compiler if you use them. But you can't just use an uppercase version. In some code, the coding is the computer does not care at all about how your formatting is, and it just cares about the syntax, that everything's in order. It doesn't care about if it looks nice. So um, most coders will make it so in the way that most people have seen it, like this is a very human friendly version. It doesn't matter if it looks exactly like this. This is just to help other humans when they try to read code. And so if you ever want to put a comment inside of your code, you can do these slash lines and the compiler will completely go over it like it's nothing, but a human could see it if they looked into it. Uh, Floating numbers are negative numbers and decimals, whereas an integer is just a normal number. So when you assign x to be a float, that means it can be a negative or a decimal. So if I put this together, it would give me a decimal. However, if I only did the integer, it would totally dismiss any decimal and just give me the main primary number. I learned the order of operations. Most computers follow PEMDAS, um, except they have more symbols. Like if you use a plus plus, that means add one every time or add two every time. That becomes the same as, say, a plus or minus. Also, whenever you have a equal sign, that does not mean equal as it does in math. It just is assigning a number to some sort of integer or other type of symbol. Um, you can also do remainder, which remainder is the percent sign, I believe. No. Yeah, it's the percent sign. And that just tells you what the remainder of two things dividing by each other would be. So if you wanted to do, if you were, by say, writing code and you wanted to find what your first remainder was, like let's say it was 4, and then you wanted to find the remainder of uh, the remainder as the remainder of 4 by 10, you would just put this, but you can also shorten it to just have the remainder equals 10, stuff like that. This is a whole hexadecimal sheet because all computers read in numbers, and so to make it display letters you can and symbols, you can use numbers for it. You don't have to. This is just a different way to do it. And the verse of a hex versus a decimal is hex only goes up to 9, and then it becomes A, B, C, D, E, F, whereas a decimal can go all the way up just straight numbers. To make a new line when you're printing something, you can do slash n for a new line, or slash r to the beginning. Slash a makes a sound, a little beep, because the teletype, which was a very old form of computer, would make a little alarm sound when you put this in. But modern computers will just make a little beep, just as like a little, I don't know, a little callback to that. And the binary octal to binary octal only goes up to 7, and then binary is 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, and so on. And so where you would see a decimal number would just go straight up to 16, and octal would stop at 7, then go to 10, 12, 15, 17, and then it will skip again to 20. Char is the way of printing, and so if you do char and then, which stands for character, it'll assign the fact that it's oh no, it doesn't do that. It doesn't print. That's my bad. That's my bad. Char actually um that just means it's a character, so you would assign that it's a letter. To actually write out things, you would do a cout, C-O-U-T, which is I'm not sure what that stands for, but that's how you would print it. And so um that would be how you put something into the compiler, and then it will output some sort of word or phrase. But to put something from the output and then put that into the code, like say you need to give a number for the code to run something specific, you would use the syn, which is the opposite of a cout. And so if you wanted to make, say, a tic-tac-toe board in C++, and the person with the X had to choose which of the numbers they want to be on the board, you would use the CIN as the way that they would put in like 1 or 6 to then fill in the 1 or 6 spot. This is all of my notes are extremely long because I just want to have everything in one place. I do most of this stuff I can just remember and have in my head, but I haven't been doing a lot of actual coding. A lot of it has just been very basic explanations of how things work. So hopefully I will be in the future doing more interesting run throughs of what I'm doing, because this is just very basic and boring type of uh, vocabulary.